Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larsen, and you're watching the 5 Off, 5 On Racing Show. Sorry for the delay, some technical issues, but it's all fixed. We're good to go. So I hope everybody had a good week, had some racing. And I want to thank everybody who watched our anniversary show live, and for those who watched it later on in archives, thank you. There was a very, how can I put this? A lot of people watched that show, so it was highly viewed, and I want to again thank the guests, Mike Jarecki from myracenews.com, Bob Finan from Riverhead Raceway, he's been there forever, and of course I want to thank Roger Oxy for taking a trip from upstate, which he's done many, many times to be a guest or guest co-host on our show. So, and thank you for the people who participated in the chat room and made things nice. It was great. I appreciate that. So if you missed it, go take a watch. It was. I watched it a couple of times myself, but it was so good. But anyway, some talk with the Thompson Motorsports Park up in Thompson, Connecticut, held its annual icebreaker. And before the icebreaker came, an individual was recognized for his 35 years of service. Russ Dowd, the voice of Thompson Motorsports Park, called his last Thompson event during the recent icebreaker. Dowd had called about 130 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour events, every single Modified Tour event that was ever raced there at the famed 5/8 mile speedway. Dowd, 67, has been in the racing business for over 35 years. Started an announcer at Thompson in 1981, the voice of Thompson. He had that radio sounding, that deep voice. Even if the race was exciting, he still kept that tone, and it was very interesting. And listening to his interviews in Victory Lane were just phenomenal. So I had the opportunity to know Russ for quite a number of years, and I wish him well in his retirement. He did not announce the entire weekend. He wanted the new broadcast team at the Thompson Motorsports Park to do it their way and not worry about him looking over their shoulder. So again, I want to wish Russ Dowd lots of luck. I want to thank him for his years of service to the racing community, for being a part of racing. Because for those who don't know it, and most of the people who watch and listen to the show know that, racing people, whether you're behind the scenes or on the racetrack, it's dedication, and it's something that we do. And like I said to Bobby Viner, we do this because this is what we do. And to give up every weekend for 35 years, that says something in itself. And some guys it's more than that. But 35 years, there's a lot that you miss in your life, in your secondary family. Your primary family becomes your secondary family because you're at the racetrack every weekend. And Russ did a real nice job over the years. Again, I wish him well. He's a fine gentleman. In my humble beginnings as a race director in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, he was right there to guide me through some of the stuff, some of the behind-the-scenes things that I didn't know about, introduce me to the key people at the raceway so that I would be able to do my job. So, again, lots of luck to Russ and a big thank you. So it's all good. Speaking of Thompson, they had the icebreaker, and Timmy Solomino earned his first NASCAR Whelen Modified win at the Thompson Motorsports Park during the icebreaker. Solomino from Islip, Long Island, New York, cut his teeth at Long Island's Bullring Riverhead Raceway. Solomino is now mentioned with other Long Island modified drivers who ventured off the island to go racing in the tour at bigger and faster racetracks. Names like Charlie Gizombach, Mike Unitzko, Steve Park, and Greg Sachs, just to name a couple. You win the icebreaker, you win any modified tour race, you're in that level, that esteemed group. But if you win the icebreaker, wow, that's like winning the Daytona 500. It really is. So, Timmy, I'll tell you, he's with a good team, the Flamingo team, and it's not that it's funny, but that team, no matter who drives for them, is successful. And as Eric Sanderson, the owner of the 16 Modified, said, he watched Timmy over the years, the last couple of years, and he didn't tear up equipment. He was smooth. And I'll tell you what, the family's been in racing forever. So he just made his way through the ranks from go-karts, Chargers, Modifieds, and when he got the opportunity to drive for Wayne Anderson, that was also, awesome. Because the family team, there's three boys. It's tough to, what you do for one, you got to do for the other. So when these cars are, costing $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, you can't do that for all three of your boys. So Wayne Anderson stepped in, took care of Timmy. Timmy moved up the ranks, and great event, great show. And Timmy was a guest on our show a couple of years back, and we talked about that. Where's your first win going to be? And he was just overwhelmed by that, and to get your first. And he ran out of gas. The checker flag drop, he went through 1 and 2. He went in the back stretch and ran out of gas. Had to be pushed to victory lane, and that was probably the toughest lap that he had to do. So, congratulations, Timmy. I'll tell you what, Timmy's going to be a force to reckon with in 2016 on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. They got Stafford coming up for the Spring Sizzler in a couple of weeks. And I'll tell you what, Timmy's going to be right there beating and banging. And missing from the icebreaker on the tour level was TC, Ted Christopher. Teddy ran in the SK, or not the SK, the Sunoco mods, as they call them up at Thompson, and finished second. And I can't remember a Modified Tour icebreaker where Ted Christopher wasn't in it. So is the curtain setting on Teddy? I don't know. I really thought that he was going to end up in the Mystic Missile #4 with Bob Garbarino. The ride ended up going to Jimmy Blewett. But it's one of those things that it's a whole new group coming in, a whole new regime. And not only with owners, but drivers as well. A lot of young guys coming on there. But we'll see what happens. So right now on the phone, calling in from the Evergreen Raceway, Gene Ostrowski. Gene, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. How's it going?
Oh, we're doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Tell us what's going on at the Evergreen Speedway now that it's back in operation, looking good. What's going on?
Well, we actually had our opening day. Well, I mean, so far this season we already raced two enduro races, one in January, one in March. They were really successful. The last enduro for the four-cylinders had 131 cars that started. Took the green flag, which made things pretty entertaining and interesting. But actually, our opening day for the regular season was yesterday, and it was a success. The car counts were a little on the light side. They were still better than when the track closed. But we feel like they'll pick up as the season moves on, as long as we, try to keep everybody happy. You can't keep everybody happy, but as long as we can keep moving in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Gene, we all know Mahoning Valley is right up the road. How are you guys going to work together so it's successful for the both operations?
Well, what we've been working on, I'm good friends with Dean Alberto over there, and the Santees are good people, and it was never really meant to be a competition. It's just, racers are competitive. I think the fans were more in competition with one another over the two tracks than the racers were, to be honest. But with us running our full schedule on Sundays, I mean, there's really not any competition whatsoever. And to work together, we've, at Evergreen, we're running a lot of the same tires that Mahoning is, which we haven't done in the past.
Right.
The factory stocks, street stocks, we switched those to the Hoosier 790s, which they run on their street stocks, and that'll be a help. And who knows? I mean, we've been in talks, but nothing serious yet. But maybe we'll put something together down the road, maybe towards the end of the season, or possibly for next year.
Right, and I'll tell you, I think I spoke on my show a couple of weeks ago. When you have two tracks in such close proximity to each other, having a little dual track championship usually gets guys to go to both because they don't want to miss out. Is that something that's being considered?
Possibly. I know years ago, before I actually worked at the Speedway, they had tried something like that with the late models. Now, late models, they're not here in the Northeast. They're not as big as they used to be by any means. But a lot of people from Evergreen or Mount Speedway at the time would go down to Mahoning, but the Mahoning guys, for whatever reason, whether they were down on power or whatever, they really didn't come up to our track. So, I mean, honestly, I'd like to do something with the street stocks.
Right.
Because we both get great car count, and you know, a matter of fact, I think Saturday night they had 30. We had 15 yesterday, and probably only, I'd say 4 or 5 of those guys ran both tracks.
Okay.
So if you can get 40 street stocks between the 2 tracks, let's say if you only get half of those guys to run a little series, I mean, with 20 cars, that'd be awesome.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. How did you open night go? I know you said your car counts were a little light, but how did it go Saturday night?
It went really well. It went really well. We there were 6 divisions. I believe there were like 50, low 50s was the car count overall, so that's a little light. But with 6 divisions, heat races, and the features, and there was 1 or 2 pretty lengthy cleanups because of fluid down on the track.
Mm-hmm.
The show is complete in less than 4 hours. So, I mean, for our first time together, pretty much a new green group of people.
Oh, yeah.
I think it went really well.
And I'll tell you what, you guys planned, you met, you talked, and a lot of your kinks were kind of worked out in the boardroom, so to speak, instead of as it happened. You guys seem to be like ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, our biggest thing to start off the season in January was our transponder system. It's
right. Not
that we had any problems with it, but it's a lot more than just tossing the transponder in the car and hitting a button on the computer, and it does everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of organization that goes into just drivers signing in and assigning them transponders, and we were a little rocky with it in January for the Enduro, and then in March with all those cars. I mean, there were 200 cars in the pits. The pits were full. They actually had some guys had a pit in the grandstand parking lot,
wow.
And with all those drivers coming in, and we didn't have any problems. I mean, as far as the scoring or anything like that. So it was that was a learning experience right there. And then of course, you have 50 some cars opening day. That was a breeze.
Yeah. What's some of the big shows that you got coming up planned, Gene?
Actually, this Sunday we have a Tour Time Modified show. Which worked out well because Mahoning's having their ROC show on Saturday. They moved it to Saturday because of the weather a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And so a lot of the ROC guys, or I should say quite a few of the ROC guys, have called and asked about, tire rules and things like that, what kind of tires we're going to run. And plus we have a lot of interest from the local drivers. So, we're looking for a pretty good car count there. And we also told the guys, a lot of tracks, they'll make it mandatory where you have to purchase 4 tires to run the big show. We made it where you only have to purchase 2, which was kind of a gutsy move, really. Mm-hmm. But, we feel if we get enough cars, that'll pay for itself. So
without a doubt.
We'll see how that goes. I didn't really have any expectations headed into yesterday, but, for this weekend, the expectations are pretty high now. Mm-hmm. So, again, and with Mahoning, that's, it wasn't set up to work together like that, but, but we sort of are working together on that deal because I know Dino's been talking to some of the guys and saying, hey, why don't you run both tracks and vice versa with us? So,
mm-hmm.
We have 7 of those big mod shows planned throughout the season. Our regular modifieds are called Evergreen Modifieds. They're more like the B Modified or the old SK Modifieds.
Right. Yeah, I had been to both facilities numerous times, and if you didn't look at the surface, some of those cars were still the same that run in both places, and I don't see why, especially the way you run it on a Saturday and Sunday, why they wouldn't want to do that.
Oh, right, and especially the modified guys. If they're traveling down from New York or up from down south, it's a no-brainer to stay overnight. I mean, they're racers, so it's a no-brainer to stay overnight, and you get to go play the next day too.
Exactly, and like I've always said, you built these cars to race them. They don't look good sitting on the trailer.
Yeah, they're not showpieces.
Exactly. But I want to thank you for calling in, and you got that race coming up on Sunday, the Tour Type Mods, and hopefully you get a good count from the Mahoning guys down the road to come back up and race it. And I want to wish you guys well in 2016. I'm glad to see you guys open the gates and you're back in business.
Well, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. And if you get a chance, come on down, give me a call, let me know you're coming, and we'll get you all set up.
You got it. Thanks, Gene. Gene Ostrowski from the Evergreen Raceway down in Pennsylvania. Thanks, Gene. And we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the stuff that went on in Bristol.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or the flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com. Inravio.com wants you. Inravio provides the best in TV, film, post-production, and so much more. And we're growing. Right now, we're looking for a team of pros that can join us. So what are you waiting for? We need show hosts, production crew, marketing gurus, sales experts, audio engineers, lighting, visual effects, and camera crews. We want you. Go to Inravio.com/join the team.
Hey, welcome back. Before we move into Bristol, the NASCAR Whelen Modified at Thompson we talked about with Timmy Solomino taking the win down there for his first win in the Tour. Ryan Preece was second, followed by Justin Bonsignor in third. Doug Covey, the defending champ, fourth. Ron Silk finished fifth. Donnie Lee is sixth. Eric Goodale seventh. Jimmy Blewett was eighth. Rowan Pennick ninth. And Woody Pitcat rounded out the top 10. As I said earlier, their next event will be at Stafford Motor Speedway in Stafford Springs, Connecticut for Stafford's annual Spring Sizzler event. Should be an interesting weekend, the last weekend there in April. Stafford always puts on a good show. One of my favorite tracks I like going to. But it should be good. Should be good. Be interesting to see how it all pans out with the new teams. And will Timmy Solomino make it 2 in a row? Anyway, Bristol, the Xfinity Series. Eric Jones was the winner there, followed by Kyle Busch. Kyle Larson was third. Austin Dillon fourth. We had Justin Allgaier fifth. Daniel Suarez sixth. Ty Dillon seventh. Kevin Harvick eighth. Joey Logano ninth. And rounding out the top 10, Eric Almirola. The next race for the Xfinity Series will be at Richmond this upcoming weekend at Richmond International Raceway in Virginia. Camping World Truck Series is off this weekend. Their next event is Kansas, May 6th. And I'll tell you, they have a wacky schedule. They race and have a month off, race, have a month off. I don't understand that, but then again, I don't need to understand it. I just need to report on it. But the Camping World Truck Series, May 6th, will be in Kansas. So that'll be a good one. The Cup Series at Bristol. Raleigh Drive, 40 cars showed up and just about as many fans. The seats were empty. But Carl Edwards from the pole was the winner, followed by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Kurt Busch was third. Chase Elliott, 4th. Trevor Bayne was 5th. Matt DiBenedetto, we're going to talk about him in a little bit, was 6th. Kevin Harvick was 7th. Clint Boyer was 8th. 9th was Ryan Newman, and Joey Logano rounding out the top 10. Kyle Busch's streak ends as he crashed on lap 258. The next race for the Cup Series would be May 1st. They'll be in Talladega. IndyCar, Toyota Grand Prix. Well, we're going to wait. I want to talk about Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto became emotional during a live TV interview after finishing 6th at Bristol this past weekend. A career best for Matt. Matt, to him, as he said in his interview, this was like a win. 500 laps at Bristol, almost 4 hours, and with this new team, and they're not one of the big dollar teams, like he said, this was like a win. Matt DiBenedetto was overcome with tears as he spoke about his win, not his win, but his 6th place finish. And to some of you people out there, 6th place, what's the big deal? Let me tell you something. If you've never raced and you're finishing way in the back and you have a top 10 or a top 5, that is big. And I know early in my career in racing, I don't even want to call it a career because it's just something that I did early on. And to finish a race, to me, was like a win. So I went through a whole period of many, many races. With being a tow truck guy, we had a good relationship. I didn't even have to tell him where to bring me. He knew where to go. And the first time I finished the race, that it was at the end, and I saw the checker flag, I was fist pumping. People were like, you finished like 14th. What's the big deal? I said, you have no idea. I finished the race, and it's the next step. Now, you know, DiBenedetto, his next goal, it'll be finishing the top 5. But he thanked his mom, his dad, his brother was on leave from the military there. He thanked his entire family, his team, his owners. It was an emotional victory for him. And I'll tell you what, I don't normally say, hey, I'm proud of that guy. I'm proud of that guy. I really am. I'm very proud that he was, he let it out. He let his emotions out. Some of these guys, they interview him and they finish in the top, 5. Yeah, well, we could have caught him, but, he got away. He had better. They start making excuses, and they're very, stoic about it. But this guy, he let it all out. And I think you're going to see a lot more better finishes from him throughout this season. A lot more. Anyway, we'll go back. The IndyCar Toyota Grand Prix was held at Long Beach, California. Simon Pagenaud was first, followed by Scott Dixon. Helio Castroneves was 3rd from the pole. Juan Pablo Montoya was 4th. Takuma Sato was 5th, followed by Tony Kanaan, 6th. Will Power was 7th. James Hinchcliffe was 8th. Sebastian Bourdais was 9th. And Joseph Newgarden rounded out the top 10. Formula One, the Chinese Grand Prix was held in Shanghai, in China. Nico Rosberg was 1st. Sebastian Vettel was 2nd. Daniel Kvyat was 3rd. Daniel Ricciardo was 4th. Kimi Raikkonen was 5th. Felipe Massa was 6th. Lewis Hamilton was 7th. Max Verstappen was 8th. Carlos Sainz Jr. was 9th. And Valtteri Bottas rounded out the top 10. And I'll tell you what, this Formula One stuff, they race all over the world. It's got to be a logistical nightmare, going through customs and clearing customs and getting your equipment over there. I don't understand how they do it, but they do it and they make it work. Formula One. IndyCar Series is a little different, although it's kind of on the same level. But what they've done there is it's kind of right here in America. So IndyCar Series, not what it once was, but then again, is anything. No, it's not. It's not. Let's see. Yes, Eric Beers held off Matty Hirschman in the Mahoning Valley Speedway's opener, 75-lapper this past Saturday. Eric Beers, a former NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour driver, and Matty Hirschman both. They've made, Matty Hirschman races anywhere he can, but Eric Beers has made Mahoning Valley his home, and he's tearing that place up. So another interesting place to watch a race. Definitely interesting place. Also in Bristol, a fan was hit by Kyle Busch's race car while Busch was bringing his damaged race car to the garage area to see if it could be fixed. The fan was treated and released at a local hospital. The team was very helpful to the woman. And I'm not going to say who the woman was, but I'll tell you what, I've been in and about garages on every level in NASCAR, from Daytona to New Hampshire, all the way out to Iowa. And the garage area is crowded, especially on a half-mile track like Bristol. It's like going to Thompson. It's a tiny infield. You know, you got to be paying attention. I watched the video, and the woman's kind of just, bebopping along. You know, it's if you're there to watch the race, go watch the race. The race is going on. It's midway through. Why are you walking around the pit area like you're just sitting there hanging out with your friends going in the park? You know, as a driver, you got your Hans, your helmet, you got your headresting. You can't see like this, and you make the turn, and there she was. There she was. And, and NASCAR is not going to blame Busch for this. It wasn't his fault. It was an accident. But this could have been tragic. And now NASCAR is going to take a look at who's walking around the pits, who's in the garage area during these things, and maybe they need to put things in control. There's yellow lines painted on the ground. Sometimes I know at Daytona they have ropes up with the barriers and the barricades, and you can't go in certain areas. And maybe they need to have more security, or maybe they just need to have more brains when you're walking around the garage area with race cars coming in and out. I hope this incident doesn't make it so that the fan who does have the opportunity to get a garage pass, NASCAR is going to say, you know what, because of this incident, I'm not going to do that. Because a lot of the rule changes that NASCAR makes and sets forth is based on incidences that happen at racetracks on and off the track. And because of this one person that wasn't paying attention, that shouldn't be. And I remember a few years back at my local racetrack, somebody got burned by a muffler walking around the pit area, and of course sued the racetrack and sued the guy she had no business being near that guy's car. I'm not going to say who the driver was or when it was or what racetrack, but I remember that, and I was like, wait a minute, this person's walking around blindly in the pit area, and the car just did 35, 40, 50 laps, whatever it did, 75 laps. The mufflers are going to be hot, and in the modifieds they're exposed. Yeah, there's a Nerf bar in the way, but come on, you have no business being, not knowing where you're going, and that's a big thing, and then it becomes a frivolous lawsuit. Then for the promoter and the operators, now their insurance goes up because they had a lawsuit. You know what? You signed into the pits, and you're dumb enough to walk around with your head up in the sky, looking at the clouds instead of paying attention. And these cars are loud. You couldn't hear them coming. So I watched that video, and she just wasn't paying attention. Just not paying attention. And people are waving like, hey, there's a car coming. Oh, she's, doing her thing, walking around. People got to be careful in these pit areas. And, and some of these racetracks allow little kids, which I never understood, but I know you want to keep it a family thing. And that's what you have to do. So just be careful. And if you're the opportunity to go into a garage during when the pits are hot, pay attention, look around, be aware of your surroundings, listen to the whistles, because there's security guys and officials that blow whistles when the cars are coming, and the people blow the whistle and they're like, no, look. There's a traffic flow, there's a rhythm that they go, and pay attention. If you don't know what you're doing, don't go in the garage. I hate to see somebody get hurt, and I've seen it so many times, and nobody should. Nobody should get hurt. It's not good. It's just not good. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and we come back. We're going to talk about the modified racing series when we come back.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice, and we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, welcome back. I was just reading some of the stuff in the chat room. 22 Figure Eight, I thank you, because I'm looking at the chat room and it's got pretty quiet. So I was trying to figure out what to do to see who was sleeping here, and then you woke Tracy from Bethel up. Tracy, welcome. 20 Figure Eight, thank you. And that, 22 Figure Eight, made a comment about that maybe we shouldn't be in the pits. Now, there's some guys that have the head in the clouds who were walking in the pits. But I can remember years ago when women weren't allowed in the pits. Back when I first got involved with the sport and Ice Up Speedway. I don't know how it was in the rest of the country, but they didn't allow women in the pits. In fact, the drivers got 2 ladies' passes so their wife and their girlfriend, or the wife or their girlfriend and somebody else could get into the races for free and watch. Now, when you think about it, back in those days, they had about, I'm going to say, 120, 130 cars in the 2 divisions at Ice Up Speedway. So 240 people were in the grandstands right from the get-go. Right from the get-go. And of course, they had to bring their kids who probably got in for like 75 cents. But, all of a sudden, there was an issue. Certain car owner was female, and she was told that she wasn't allowed in the pits. So, of course, the big Bob O'Rourke, rest in peace, there was a meeting, a sit down. Hey, look, I'm the car owner. I should be able to go in the pits with my race car. And so, all right, you let one. You know what happens when you let one? 1 becomes 2, 2 is 4, 4 is 8. You get the message. And up until then, I'm going to get crucified with this one. Up until then, if 2 men had an issue on the racetrack, where who took out who crashed who, whether it was an accident, whether it was on purpose, whether it was a payback, whether it was the driver, his helmet was on too tight, they'd have words back and forth and bang, bang, boom, and maybe a little push and shoving, the crews would get involved. But the next week they'd be, hey, how you doing? Hey, let's have a beer. And I'm talking. But then they got the women involved, and the women, they hold grudges forever. They hold grudges forever, and like, why are you talking to that guy? And then, some Sunday mornings, I don't want to be at some of these guys' kitchens tables for breakfast because they had a fight with the guy last week, but they're having beers with him this week, and the wife was like, what's going on? How can you do that? I'm only kidding. It's all good. Everybody deserves to be in the pits. Everybody should be in the pits, but just pay attention. That's all I'm saying. Just pay attention. And some racetracks have an open pit area. Some have a hot, cold. I know NASCAR, a lot of the racetracks, it's a hot pit. That means you need a hot pass to get in, and only a select few get the hot pass. The cold pass is you're allowed only during certain hours. It's usually before the sun rises, up until like qualifying, an hour before qualifying. But, you really need to pay attention. And you go to a place like Martinsville, Bristol, it's crowded. It's tough to not get in the way of somebody or something, especially during practice. So, again, I'm just going to say, let's just all be careful. And 22 Figure Eight, thank you for waking up the people in the chat room tonight. That was good. That was so good. Anyway, so what do we got going? Yes. The Modified Racing Series, the Valente Auto Group, will be the primary sponsor again for the Modified Racing Series in 2016. Valente first sold Nashes and Lafayettes and automobiles in 1927. The Valente started selling Dodges and Plymouths in 38. Then in 55, Valente bought a Chevy dealership, and they've been blossoming ever since then. The Valentes, I've been involved with the Valente Modified Series for the last 3 years, and the season opener for the Valente MRS season is Saturday, April 30th at Monadnock Speedway in New Hampshire. So, yes. Sometimes I get out of the corner of my eye, I see something in the chat room, but I have 3 now monitors I can look at, and there's no getting away from it. So Tracy Bethel, some women had the nerve to argue with the chief steward. Now, I don't think I actually used the word nerve, but I got my, I sat up in my chair, I remember it very well, and I think I gave you money for McDonald's or something, I don't know, but it's funny, and one of the racers once said, at a meeting, I was at a meeting, a racing meeting, as an official, to talk to the guys, and one of the guys says, by the time we race, and we're talking about the figure eights, who raced last, Joe's not in a good mood. Joe's not in a good mood. So one of the guys says, do you notice the later it gets, the more aggravated he gets over the stupidest stuff? And so, and people have no idea, when you're running a racetrack, when you're the head official of a race, whether it's your local quarter-mile place, a half-mile place, a mile place, a race director in the touring series, whatever it is, there's people in your ear, in your ear, in your ear, in your ear. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I could be the chief steward at my local racetrack. And, looking back, man, I don't know why I did that. Because you can't make everybody happy. You have 4 divisions racing, 5, 6, whatever it is. The only people who aren't going to be upset with you was the guys or gals who won that night. People are going to come up and scream at you because, they think somebody wrecked them on purpose. They took them out on purpose. I was going for the lead. He took me out. And I used to always say, nobody wrecks on purpose. Nobody's going to go and drive into you because they don't want you to get the spot. What happens is you have 2 tough competitors going for the same hole at the same time. What's going to happen? You're going to bang wheels. You might bang fenders, doors, whatever. You may end up in the fence. But nobody's doing that, on purpose. And the red phone, Madon. That phone, when it just rang normal, it could have been anywhere on the racetrack. Anywhere. It could have been the press box, scoring, the concession stand, and to bring me my food, something. It could be anywhere. But there was a little light on the red phone. If the light blinked, it was the owners. It was the promoters / owners of the facility. And sometimes it was a phone call to say, Joe, can you change that call? I can't change the call. I learned how to real quick. But they run the place. You got to do what they say. Can you change that call? Now, I can't, when that other guy comes running up, why'd you change the call? I could say, it's the promoters called me up. I had to say, because I have to refer to review, and I had to make up some excuse. And Tracy's right about that. The chief steward doesn't have too much. He doesn't have too much say once the race is going because the flagger makes the calls there. The flagger is the decision maker. And that was one of the issues I had with one of my flaggers. He thought the same thing. And some tracks do it different. Once the racetrack goes green, once the race is green and you go racing, yes, it is in the flagger's hands. Should the flagger make those kind of decisions with rough? Yeah, why not? Why not? You saw it, you make the call. But be in the trailer or in the office afterwards when the driver wants to talk, they don't be disappearing. And that was one of the problems I had as well. But when you think about that, thinking about running a racetrack, no matter what your job is, whether you're the chief steward, the chief tech guy, the chief scorer, or even just a tech guy, a track steward, or a technical guy, you're gonna have people yelling and screaming at you, and sometimes it's hard to deal with that. Because, like I said, people think, oh, you wreck me on purpose. Or when you fail tech. This is the thing that I used to go home laughing. Goggles Paisano wins the race, goes through tech, he's illegal. He's found to be illegal. All of a sudden, your officials don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're looking at, it's not illegal. You got caught, dude. You got caught. Just admit it. Just admit it. Just say, oh, you caught me. In all my years, and I officiated over 7,000 events in my lifetime, all my years, and that's a real number, and I didn't figure that number out. UPS did, because I was up for some job at UPS, NASCAR, liaison, something. And they determined it. They looked at schedules and all kinds of nonsense, and they put together this thing, and it was, at the time, it was like 6,800. So now, and I've done all these things, and in all of those races, I saw one driver, crew chief, owner come in and say, we messed up. That's Todd Szegedy, 2004, Phil Moran. They came in and said, all right, we messed up. They had illegal gears. It was something that we weren't checking. For some reason, we did that. But everybody else, it's like, there was a driver that came with the valves on a certain motor, it had to be 4 inches. This guy's just 4.5. You measured it wrong. No, we took the ruler. Here's the ruler here. Here's the 4. Here's where yours comes to. And we didn't know how to read a ruler. Come on, guys. I mean, come on. Whatever. But like Tracy says, they have corner workers who give input. And, I'll tell you what, and one of the things that I always did is I would never overturn a decision that one of my officials would make, because what do you do? What are you doing to that official? What you're doing is telling them that your opinion is messed up. I don't really care about your opinion. So what's the chances of you getting a straight answer from that guy or gal when there is a situation that you need to discuss? Slim to none. So you have to back your people. If a mistake is made, some mistakes you could change. Some mistakes, you have to be man enough or woman enough to sit that team down and say, hey, we blew that one. And they might jump up and down, scream and yell, kick, and curse, and all and threaten to blow up your house, which they have. But I think there's a high respect. Bill Park, one of the toughest competitors on Long Island in modified, drove modifieds forever. Comes into my office one night after the dust settled, and I'm eating an ice cream. I'm sitting there eating an ice cream, sitting there. He comes in. He puts his finger, you blew that call. That's not what happened. I went like this. Just like this. I went, yeah, I did. Sorry. Oh, you know you did? Yeah. All right, see you next week. All right, sorry. Again, my apologies. I wrong angle. Have a good week. Back to it. And him and I never had a real good relationship, but he was just happy that I admitted that I blew the call. And when we talked about it the following week, one of the things we talked about, he goes, hey, look, I take chances with my setup too. I've made mistakes. We all make mistakes. But just admit it. Just admit it. And a lot of people can't do that. They can't do that. They can't say, oh, it was my fault. I would love for a driver to come off the racetrack every wreck and say, my fault. I shouldn't have done it. I went in too deep, went in too easy, did this. I went to change lanes and I didn't look. Whatever. I mean, it was never my fault. Never. Not once. Maybe once, September 1st, 1996. That was my fault. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that eventually. We will definitely talk about that. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back. We'll be wrapping up. We only have about 15 minutes left, if I'm not mistaken, because we did have some technical issues that delayed our opening. So when we come back, we'll talk more racing.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Welcome back. You know, you go back. Now, it's got to be 14 years since I officiated here on Long Island as the chief steward at Riverhead Raceway. And it was something that the 22 figure eight just put out, and he goes, and for those who, I'm sure you all read it, but I'm going to say it anyway. One race, and this is coming from 22 figure eight, one race I came out of the corner too hard and dumped the guy in front of me. Lap 3, Joe set me down for the night. It wasn't on purpose. I parked the car and took it like a man. My crew weren't too happy. There was consistency. That's why I didn't fight. And I'll tell you what, that was one of my things. Even a modified driver, Joe Hartman, who won championships in every division he's ever raced in, he was racing in a tour, and we were talking, and somebody said something about how they didn't like what I did. And Joe Hartman goes, you know, I didn't like what he did either, but he did it the same for everybody. It was consistent. He goes, I knew if I got into someone and sent them, I knew where I was going. And, you know, maybe it was a little wrong. Maybe he should have maybe put guys in the back. But here's my philosophy on that. You know, car 10 just took out car 20. Car 20's in the back because he was the caution. Now I'm going to put the two guys back together, side by side, that just had an identification on the racetrack. I said, you know what, by the time the race ends, both guys are going to be calm. Let me be the bad guy. And that's why I did things like that. And now looking back, you know, the hindsight being 20/20 vision, you know, I don't know, maybe it was a little harsh. But when I look back on those years from 99 to 2002 at Riverhead Raceway, you know, I didn't have situations where there were more cops than late models at the racetrack. And I don't think the police were there once. Because everybody hated me. They all wanted to beat me up. And they'd gang up together and they'd come charging up to the ramp, screaming, yelling, but they never fought each other, you know. That's just how it was. And sometimes when you have guys screaming, now, being a racer, I know what it's like to be black flagged when you didn't do something. You know, Bill Bryce III, he did that to me sometimes, I think, just for whatever, maybe to get me to quit because I was so bad. But anyway, you know, I went up to him, I says, why was I black flagged, Bill? He says, well, you took out, you know, so-and-so. Come look at my car. We didn't put the bumpers on the front tonight. We didn't have bumpers on the front of my car. If I would have took them out, my nose piece, which was plastic at the time, would have been cracked. Look at it. There's not a mark on it. He goes, you still took them out. It was aero. And, you know, there's nothing you could do. You know, you're not going to argue because you know what happens? The guy that's breaking your chops every week, that's the guy who's not going to get the gray area. Is he going to get the black or the white? Absolutely, because that's how I do it. Well, that's how I did it. But you're not going to get what's in the gray. You're not going to get, could have went either way, because it's not going your way. And there was a guy, There was a guy who in gravel. I don't know if he's on tonight. Gravel. I remembered this. He reminded me of it when I had seen him not too long ago. There was a guy. He was hitting everything. He was hitting every car, taking everybody out. And it turned out if anybody near him went sideways or went into the infield, I parked him, because every time it was never his fault, and he'd come up screaming at me. And so finally, after like being black flag like 5-6 weeks in a row, he comes up. He goes, "I learned my lesson. Can I get off punishment?" And he never touched another car after that. So sometimes it's addition by subtraction, but it's just tough making those calls. It's just tough. And you try to be consistent, and whether you're consistently wrong or consistently right, if the competitors know what's going to happen if they do this, they're going to get that, boom, then it's all good. But you can't do this for this guy, and that guy gets away with it. And that's where a lot of racetracks and a lot of officials, get caught up. And I can remember the first time being on a tour, certain race teams, especially the ones from New Jersey, could get away with murder. But the guys from Long Island, as it was put to me by some of the officials there, the guys from Long Island, if it was off by 1/8 of an inch, man, you're not running. You're not running. And little did they know that a certain head tech guy back in the day, at the current regime, a past regime, he had a ruler that he snipped off like 1/8 of an inch off the end, and then riveted, with the small rivets, the part that holds it on. I don't know what it's called. So that when they were arguing, "No, I measured it sharp 17 times. And he gets his ruler out and he shows them. They're like, "How could we make a mistake like that?" But he only did that to Long Island guys, as he put it. Now the Long Island guys are a force to be reckoned with, as there's many more Long Islanders on the tour than anywhere else put together now. And the Long Islanders are winning. And Timmy Solomino started off with a win, and Donnie Lee has championships. The Long Island regime in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tours is taking over. And there's always saying, if you could race a rivet, you could race anywhere. And I'll tell you what, that is so true. And when you look at some of these guys, yes, some of those guys still have the Saturday night mentality, and they're not winning yet. But it's going to come. You get that Saturday night mentality out of your head, and it comes. And I don't mean anything degrading to Saturday night racers or Sunday afternoon, whenever you race, Friday night. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. The guys who they're going to half a lap down and they spin out. And that lap's not going to count now, and they're going to get back caught up with the field, and they just sit there. One of the things I put an end to that by, not only am I going to wait for a whole lap to go by if you're not in danger, but I'm going to take a lap away. So now you're 2 laps down. So, come on. It just slows up the show, and you know what? Keep going. You spin out, keep going. The guy says, "Oh, it wouldn't start." It's kind of funny. It doesn't start when you spin out, but it starts every other time. But I don't know. It's all good. It's all good. Miss some of those days. I really do. But now we're on the other side of the fence, and I don't even know what side of the fence, because we're not racing, we're not fans. We just talk about it. We just talk about it. A lot of stuff coming on, a lot of stuff happening racing. It's that time of year, the seasons are starting, tracks are starting to open up all over, not only the Northeast, but all over the country. And we're going to get into that same talk. There's empty seats. Why are the seats empty? Bristol, Saturday's race at Bristol, you could count the people. Sunday's race, I'm surprised that TV showed the empty seats. Now, some of those seats are paid for, and I can explain that. Clay Campbell, the president of Martinsville Speedway down in Martinsville, Virginia, he said, those seats, some of these seats are paid for. They just didn't show up. Those of you who've ever been in a renewal package with a NASCAR track, whether it's International Speedway Co-op or Bruton Smith's, racetracks, the motor speedways, a couple of months after the event, sometimes a month after the event, you're getting your renewal for next year. So, okay, I got to have them. Then you can't get rid of them. You can't go. Something happened in the family. You couldn't get off from work, and you can't go. They don't give you your money back. So some of those seats are paid for, but you see a couple of days before a race, you can go online and you see a lot of people trying to sell them. And the closer they get to the event, the lower they go. So it's one of those things. But anyway, I think it's almost time to wrap up. So wherever you folks are going this week, and I'm not sure where I'm going. I know my driver has plans for one place. I think I want to go another place. And then again, maybe I don't want to go nowhere. Who knows? There's a lot of options this coming weekend. But before I go, I just want to say, for those who went to the new Riverhead Raceway this Saturday for their Tech Day, they say that the place is excellent. The changes, the facility looks awesome. They moved the tech area so it's visible to the fans, and there can be no hanky-panky what's going on in the tech area. It's rave reviews about what's going on. So again, I want to wish Eddie and Connie Partridge and Tom Gatz and John Elwood luck in 2016. I wish them only the best. So it's about time. It's about time that we made some changes there, and it's going to be good. So anyway, this week, wherever your endeavors will bring you, please be safe. Please be careful. Tell somebody you love them. Give them a hug. God bless you all, and we will see you next week.